Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. I'm hiding in my car. It's completely pitch black now outside, and I've retreated. But I wanted to finish this little video. I'll edit it together after. I think I'll leave the funny bits in. So we're talking about how most of us spend most of our time just reacting on a hair trigger, or just waiting for the next thing to react to. And that was certainly true for me. And my reactions were completely predetermined. It all came from this script. That all of the stuff that I thought I knew about myself, and it is stuff. It's not, it's not true. That we all face challenges in life and have difficulties and are coloured by those, and not only the difficulties but the positives as well. We are products of our upbringing, our culture, our families, the influences that play upon us in our lives, particularly in childhood, obviously. And without awareness of the fact that that's only half the story for us as humans, we are doomed to live a life of completely repeating the same patterns, the same responses, often attracting the same challenges in our lives, the same difficult things, just Groundhog Day, basically. That film is very apt. Funny film. Groundhog Day, just every day is just yet another chance to play out that script, and it's that dream state that I talked about, the difference between when we dream in our sleep and then the waking state is probably a good way to explain it. When we wake up, we have a dream. In the dream, most of the time, unless you're having lucid dreaming, that's a whole other thing. Most of the time, in the dream, it's the dream and it's the reality, and it's only when we wake up that we realise, oh, that was just a dream. And it's a similar level of consciousness, the so-called normal level of consciousness that we all have, that most people go through the world with, which is this complete identification with the thoughts in the head, the narrative in the head, the script that's been written in our psyches from our experience and the culture that we grew up in. Most of us go through life like that, and that is similar to that dream state. And then a real awareness, that kind of, once you come to know yourself through experience as more than just the surface eye, that deeper being dimension, the difference between that level of awareness and understanding how that roots us in our sense of being, and our sense of self, then the so-called normal state starts to look more and more like a dream, It's really difficult to talk about. It has to be experienced, really, but it's incredibly liberating if you can. If you can find that connection with the deeper I that I've talked about in other videos. And just circling back to that podcast that I was talking about. Sorry, I don't know what that is. That was really clear throughout this, and it's every, it's not just the podcast, it's every film that we watch. The other thing that last night I watched The Magnificent Seven, the new version, with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, Chris Pratt. Brilliant, brilliant film. Absolutely brilliant film. Found myself on the edge of my seat, rooting for the goodies over the baddies, you know. And it's the same thing, you know. Everyone's playing out, everyone's responding to the situation that's in front of them in relation to their past experiences. And again, there's a really poignant moment towards the end of the film, which I won't spoil for anyone that hasn't seen it, where you realise that actually, there's a great line in there. Yeah, I'm gonna. That's not a spoiler alert. When Ethan Hawke's character, what is it? Good night. Yeah, good night. I can't remember the rest of his name, but anyway, says to Denzel Washington's character, because they've been known each other for years and we're in the war together. He says, "I just want to make sure that we're fighting the battle ahead of us, in front of us, not the one behind us." What is that for a line? Absolutely perfect. That sums it up, you know. And those are the best films. Those are the best films when they really start to kind of interrogate that, what makes us do the things that we do, you know. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. But, you know, that's what it's all about. All of this, you know, we watch films, we watch TV, we watch all of that, and it reflects back our own experience that, okay, that was a moment of insight in that film. That was a rare moment of insight. That makes a good film. But most of the stuff the drivel that we all watch on TV, just reflects back this state of consciousness. And I'll make another video about that. See, that's a really good one. Because there's something really important in that about how we consume what we consume, and media and news and stuff like that. But that's for a whole other series of videos. But all you need to do is turn on your TV, watch something, whether it's a TV program or whether it's the news. All of this reflects back to us this so-called normal state of consciousness, highly reactive, very little, if any, sense of awareness before reacting. Whole countries do it, you know, that's how wars start. A complete lack of sense of connectedness to this deeper sense of being. Call it the spiritual dimension, call it whatever you want, the universal consciousness, the thing from which we all come, you know, the thing that connects us beyond our experiences and beyond this ride that we're on in this body, you know, beyond all of that. But everything that we consume in the normal media reflects back this kind of pretty insane level of consciousness that we all call normal, you know, and that's really reassuring because we all think, well, you know, I'm not as bad as that person over there, or their life is so much more chaotic, and all of that just strengthens that ego and that sense of me as a separate person alone in the universe, floundering away. And this cautionary tales episode that I mentioned, and also all of the many, if not all of the other stories that he features on Cautionary Tales are really good examples of people responding out of script, and what happens then, what went wrong, how did that happen, or in that moment finding access in that deeper power, which is that pure unconditioned consciousness, which is what can really bring true healing and to a situation. So what do we do about it? You know, crucially, how do we, when I had that realization that the only way I could experience the world differently was if I reacted differently and took ownership over how I responded. And the thing is, it's not like a willpower thing. You know, that took ownership. It's a bit of a weird phrase. I wish I hadn't used it. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there, self-help stuff out there that just says, you know, you've just got to decide how you want to react to something and just do it, and you have to push all the bad stuff away and just, you know, whatever it is. That's still coming from a place of conditioning, control, trying to hold something down, you know. So it's not really about having control over emotions. It's about understanding that they are just emotions. They are emotions and feelings. They're like clouds, you know. They can be incredibly overwhelming, and it doesn't mean that you ignore them and they're not telling you something and they're not giving you a hint about a situation, and we should really listen to that. But the difference is not to identify with them. They will happen and they have a place and they are very useful, but not to identify them and allow ourselves to get hooked every time. And of course, that's more likely when we feel like we've been ambushed. We're not prepared for something. Something happens suddenly. It's a crisis, it's a drama, whatever it is. An emergency. You know, a lot of the shows on Cautionary Tales are about things that happen in a crisis, in an emergency. And that can push you one or two ways. You know, there's an opportunity in that to awaken in that moment, but a lot of the time we do respond out of that script. So how do we change it? I found that the only way was practice, really, and practice during times when it's really not that crucial or when I'm not in a pressure situation. So for me, as for loads of people, pressure situation tends to be around who are you going to get triggered by most? Family, people that have known you a long time, other people generally, the ones that have been around you long enough to see you at your worst and your best, but also the ones that have shaped how you respond to things. So, you know, they'll have their own script going on. And they are part of your script. You know, there's nothing quite like going to see family or for you to suddenly go from being a relatively self-possessed, independent adult to suddenly turning into a grumpy, moody 13-year-old girl again, you know. So don't practice in those situations. Well, do, but what I'm saying is it's every day. So it's about finding that connection with the being dimension on a daily basis. And that's, you know, the little videos about kind of just enjoying the small things, coming out to the frozen lake to come and see people skating on the lake, stopping on your way home from work to appreciate the beauty of the view, really allowing that to just bring you into the moment and out of the thinking mind, which is all part of the script, all part of the story. So doing that when it's easier, when it's joyful, when it's enjoyable, you know, when it's something nice to focus on, it's really important. Coming back to the breath all of the time. Whenever you need that anchor, breath is a brilliant one. Just feeling the breath coming in and out of the body. It's immediate, it's sensory, it brings you into the here and now. And although you think you might be able to, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to focus all of your awareness on the breath, on breathing, whilst also telling yourself a story in your head. You might only manage it for a couple of seconds or 1 second or one breath. That's enough. That's all you have is now. That's enough. But keep that practice up, whether it's contemplating a view, whether it's just sitting and enjoying the quiet in the morning. Morning is a really good one when you wake up. Now, I know it's not always possible if you've got kids and family and animals and everything demanding your attention from that first moment. But if you do have the opportunity when you first wake up in the morning to just spend those first couple of minutes, even if it's just a few seconds, but a few minutes is good, a really good way to start the day. Before the brain kicks back in and starts to tell all the stories and all the worries and all the stuff that you've got to do today and everything that's wrong with the world, or worse still, before you lean over and reach for your mobile that's just beeped with a notification about something terribly important that's happening in the world, or in the case of my lovely partner, something you just sold on eBay. Before you go straight back into that hive mind, the collective hive mind, that we all slip back into this crazy energy field, just try to spend a few moments just being where you are when you are. So a really nice practice that, again, I might make a little short video about, because this turned into a mammoth video. I think I'll split it into two. So I'll make a little short video about this technique because I love it, and I can't quite remember which way it goes. But it's a really good grounding thing, and it's about noticing what you hear, what you see, what you're smelling in the moment, what you might be tasting in the moment, and what you might be touching. And it's a really good quick technique to get you grounded back into the where you actually are, as opposed to this fantasy story realm that we live in most of the time in our heads, which is, for most of us, a lot of the time, a pretty miserable place to be. So good times to do it in your day, first thing in the morning before it all kicks off. But don't have a set time. Do it as often as you can. Bring in that sense of just being in the here and now, that sense of presence, as much as you can in your everyday life. And that way, it's like any muscle. You're going to strengthen your ability to connect with that other dimension at those times when you most need it. When someone in your family is really pissing you off, or when your boss says something that's really triggering, or something doesn't go your way, or you read something on the news that fills you with fear, whatever it is. We need to spend time really strengthening that muscle, so that when we absolutely need it, there's more chance of us responding from that place of connectedness with being and presence, rather than out of the script and the narrative and the preconceptions that we've got in our psyches, in our minds. And if you can do that, that's where the real power comes. And especially when it's a problem or a challenge or something that needs to be overcome, the real solutions will come. The inspired, creative solutions, things that you never thought about yourself, will come from that deeper place of connectedness, combined with our wonderful power of thought as well. The two work hand in hand. But for me, the thing that changed my life is that practice, being here and now. And now, even when something difficult happens, although I still experience the feelings, I can still feel the triggers going, I can still feel the buttons being pushed, I have more chance now of responding rather than reacting. And responding in a way that won't add drama to the situation, won't cause any more drama. So, I'm now too hot because the engine's running and the heater's been going. So, I'm going to sign off now and see you again for another little video. I hope that helped. See you soon.